Good afternoon. Ron from Gearheads Magazine here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Ford Fusion Energi plug-in hybrid car. We've been testing this car for most of the last week. A lot of things to really like about it, a few things to not like about it, and let's talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to start talking about the styling of the car. When Ford released this new version of the Fusion, I loved it. I love the looks of this car. I think the styling is fantastic. It's a huge win. It's a huge improvement on the old blockier Fusion. It's got sleek, sporty lines, very European style to it. I really, really like that. It's a huge improvement for Ford's looks. Some people have complained that it's a little derivative of, Aston Martins and Jaguars, and to that I say, yeah, it is a little bit. They have taken some styling elements from, their European luxury brands they used to own. To me, that's a good thing. I mean, it makes the car look fantastic. I can't afford to put an Aston Martin in my garage, so this might be a second best for a really stylish, good-looking car. The interior is great. The fit and finish is fantastic. The materials are nice. Great interior. The seats are sporty and comfortable. It's a good car. Now, the problem with the Fusion comes more from a performance aspect. This car really doesn't have the performance to back up its looks. It's got a 4-cylinder engine in there, about 2.2 liters, along with an electric motor. In combination, I think they put out about 170 horsepower, which isn't bad, but for a mid-sized car with a little bit of heft to it, it doesn't really get the car moving all that quickly. The car doesn't feel fast, it doesn't feel sporty, the handling is pretty numb and vague. It's plush, it's smooth, it's comfortable, I'll give it that. It cruises down the highway really quietly, really smoothly. It's a great car to just drive around and cruise around in, but it's definitely not an enthusiast car. It doesn't corner that well, there's a fair bit of understeer, and not a lot of road feel to the car. It's very vague. And again, the performance isn't there. It does get some decent range on the battery alone, about 30 to 36 kilometers on battery. So if you're only driving short distances or you got a short commute, you're going to reduce your use of gas. And obviously, it's going to be more economical for you. The rest of the time, it runs as a more traditional hybrid when the battery gets run down. It's got regenerative braking to give you a little more distance there. So for the green creds, it's a good car that way too. One other huge problem with the car for me, and I'll show you what that is the glaring lack of trunk space. So being a plug-in hybrid vehicle, they've got a fairly large battery pack, and that's housed back here and takes up a good 2/3 of the trunk. As you can see, we've got a camera bag and a couple other small items in there, and that takes up a lot of space. A lot of the manufacturers, they kind of look at the cars as, can we fit a golf bag in the trunk? Sure, you're going to fit your golf bag in there, but not a lot more. So if you're a family guy, this isn't a good car for your family. You're not going to get a lot of luggage in there for a road trip. You're not going to get a lot of your kids' sports equipment or activities equipment in there. So the car really is hampered. It's really a shortcoming there in terms of trunk space, and for me, that's a no-go. Like, I could not own this car. I've got a child, and we've got to get around with our stuff. So this really will only work for a certain demographic, I think. A couple, maybe an older couple, a single person, where they don't need to haul a lot of stuff around. But even if you're a young person doing sports, you're not going to get your sports equipment in this car. So I'm really torn. I love the looks of the car. I love the interior. It's a comfortable car to drive. It doesn't get my juices flowing when it comes to sports performance, handling. It's not an enthusiast car. So on that note, I'm going to leave it at that, and that's the Ford Fusion Energi Hybrid.